It all began with a message, one I never expected to come from the person I trusted most. My wife, the woman I had built my world around, told me she wanted a 10-day break. She said she needed time, space to think, to sort out what she truly wanted. I nodded, pretending to be calm, though inside, a quiet storm was already stirring. I respected her wish, convincing myself that distance might help, that maybe this was what we needed. But beneath that pretense of peace, a heavy uncertainty pressed against my chest. The first day came and went in silence. No texts, no calls, not even a small check-in. I filled my time with distractions, trying not to dwell on what she was doing, trying to trust her words. But on the second day, everything shattered, not through confession, but through something far more public. As I scrolled through my feed, there she was, laughing, smiling, sitting next to another man. The photos looked casual enough at first glance, but the message behind them was unmistakable. She wanted the world to see. For a moment, I just stared, my heart pounding in my chest. It wasn't only the sight of her with someone else. It was realizing that the woman I had trusted completely had already carved out a space for someone new. Anger flared, sharp and consuming. But I didn't yell. I didn't call. I didn't send a single message demanding an explanation. Instead, I exhaled. I gathered myself. This wasn't about drama or revenge. This was about clarity, about reminding her and myself that actions carry weight, and trust isn't something that can be toyed with. So I made a choice. My response wouldn't be loud. It would be calm, deliberate, and undeniable. By afternoon, her belongings, the remnants of our shared life, were neatly packed and placed outside. Every item handled carefully, every memory acknowledged, but firmly released. She returned later that evening, likely expecting anger or desperation. Instead, she found silence. The door closed, the hallway still, her things arranged with quiet precision, the books, the trinkets, the keepsakes of what once was. I didn't wait for her reaction. I sat in the living room, calm, sipping a glass of water, letting the silence speak louder than words. Her shock was immediate. I saw it in the way she froze, her eyes scanning the boxes lined up with deliberate order. There were no shouts, no tears, no chaos, just the cold truth settling between us. She had expected pleading, begging, anything to prove that she still had power over the situation. But I didn't give her that. I couldn't. As the minutes stretched, I felt something shift, not power over her, but control over myself. This wasn't vengeance. It was a declaration of boundaries, a quiet reminder that trust, once broken, cannot be taken for granted. I had considered arguing, demanding answers, seeking closure through confrontation. But I knew better. Words can be twisted. Emotions can be staged. But actions tell the truth. And my actions that night said everything. I knew my worth, and I refused to let it be diminished. Later, when she finally tried to speak, I listened. Briefly, her explanations were clumsy, hollow, wrapped in hesitation. But the truth was already clear. The damage was done, not by a single act, but by the choices that followed it, and by the quiet strength in how I responded. There was no begging, no bargaining, no desperate attempt to save what was already lost. My silence became the statement she couldn't ignore. The break she had asked for became the lesson she never saw coming. In that calm, deliberate response, I found something unexpected: control, peace, a quiet dignity I had forgotten I possessed. The next morning, I walked through the apartment. The emptiness was startling at first, the missing photos, her favorite mug, the notes she used to leave. But instead of pain, I felt release. Life doesn't stop for betrayal. It moves forward, quietly but relentlessly. And consequences always find their way back. I checked my phone, half expecting missed calls, long messages, apologies. There were none. Just silence. Perfect, complete silence. And in that quiet, I felt something lift. This wasn't revenge. It was self-respect. Some lessons don't need anger to be taught, only clarity and the courage to walk away. By mid-afternoon, I went to the cafe where we used to meet. Alone, the city buzzed around me, oblivious to the quiet storm that had reshaped my life. But sitting there, I felt lighter, freer. For years, I had overlooked the slow erosion of our bond, thinking small gestures could fix deep cracks. That day, I finally understood dignity can't be preserved through denial, and love without trust is just endurance. Days turned into weeks. Eventually, she reached out, cautious, uncertain, trying to explain. I read her messages once, then set the phone aside. No reply. It wasn't cruelty. It was consequence. I had already said everything I needed to without a single word. Respect, once lost, can't be forced back into being. And sometimes silence says more than anger ever could. In the weeks that followed, I turned my focus inward, on old friends, forgotten passions, the small joys I had abandoned for routine. The emptiness she left behind became a space for reflection, not regret. Somewhere in that stillness, I found peace. Because the most powerful statements aren't always spoken, they're lived. Silence carries its own gravity. Absence can teach lessons words never could. She made her choice. I made mine. And in that choice, I discovered something stronger than closure, quiet, unshakable self-respect.